I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Bryan Wish. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing phenomenal. It's cold, but nice and creative evening, and excited to be on the show.
Oh, super. What part of the world are you in right now?
I am in Washington, D.C.
Oh, super. Hey. Well, please tell us, Bryan, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
My ability to build relationships easily with people online or in person.
Yeah, who did you learn that from?
I had to do it out of kind of more from a professional sense to kind of break through certain doors that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to get there. So learning how to communicate effectively has been an essential skill for me, and also in kind of personal relationships and friendships as well.
Oh, super. So you're the guy that keeps going and going and going, right? Like you don't give up. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that is accurate. I think.
So who did you learn that from? Like, is there someone in your family, or were you just that person from the get-go?
I think it comes down to being told no so much growing up when I was pursuing different, sports teams or universities, or just kind of facing hardship and realizing that, the obstacle really is the way, and figuring out how to get around it. Nothing ever really came easy growing up.
I love that statement. The obstacle is the way. I love that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's the first time I've heard that.
I
So
think it's a book, but I haven't read it. Maybe it isn't. Who knows?
that's amazing. Well, I mean, tell us about what you do, my friend, and the business that you run, the creative curve.
Yes, absolutely. So I can't speak too much to that, but I'm running all the marketing for a book campaign, basically that distills the creative process.
Well, let's do the wish dish then. Sorry.
So, well, the wish dishes, yes, is what I ran for 2 years after school, and Tommy Bridlove was an advisor for that. And that really was based on, how do you give people a voice and authentic place to truly express themselves and be vulnerable, and do that with a shared community of people who understood the same values. And that was really powerful. And I thought that I hit a hardship my junior year of college and wanted a place to share and write, because writing was my outlet for expression. I was like kind of my creator's lane. And so I wanted to create a forum for other people to be able to do the same, and that was inspiration. And then the idea was how do you creators, people who express themselves, share in different ways. So, that kind of led me to my kind of next journey. I wanted to understand how to build a global community. And I did that under Kairos Society, and that was an incredible experience, and that led me to this book campaign. So a lot of entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial activities, but Wish Dish was a 2.5 year, like really headstrong, and I definitely plan to go back to it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I visited the website, and to see the stories that were shared there, it's pretty inspirational. While you were doing that, was it really challenging getting that, or was it your element?
I think it was really challenging at first because people aren't comfortable with putting themselves out there, and being so vulnerable, ever. And so to get the first 30 or 40 stories was really hard. But then once I started putting in the right system in place and finding the right people to be involved, it was a very organic and grassroots process, and it was so much fun. And it was so empowering to wake up and know you had such a huge impact on someone's life. And so the fire kind of started to spread on its own after about a year in, and then I had to understand how do you put infrastructure around that properly, and to really scale that. And then, I struggled with the whole business model, and then, that's why I kind of took a step back to really learn that process. But it was unbelievable, the people who were behind it, the events that we did based off the platform. I mean, it was so empowering and so inspiring, and I loved it.
If you had to choose money that could be earned versus the value you got from putting that together, what would you choose?
That 100 times over.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look, money is a disposable. It's an asset that you can use towards your own projects or just spend, right, to survive and live. For me, like I had some good money and savings from my first company in college, and I poured all of it into Wish Dish, and I lived on my friend's floor for 8 months to keep it going, and
Wow.
just scratching and clawing every day. I miss that, honestly. I really do miss that, actually. That to me, that was everything, and it's a journey that I want to get back to, actually, like in a big way. But I've had to make some decisions to kind of sustain myself and keep things going. So I decided to. I had to put it on the slower burn to kind of support myself.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm glad that you're going through what you're going through. I definitely look forward to seeing the earth-wide value you bring via your passion, my friend. That being said, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Sure. Professionally or personally?
Let's do personally.
It's funny. Sometimes your identity is so wrapped up in what you do professionally. It's like your life because you get so stuck on building things. And I'm aware of that. But from a personal standpoint, something I've done consistently the last 3 years. And this is basic, but I value my health. I've worked out. I'm not in incredible shape, but I like to stay very active and I like to stay fit in some sense. It's my one release, and like it gives me a full escape from the world, and it's really beautiful to me, kind of what physical activity can do for the mind and body. So that might be one.
One is cool. If you had to give us an emoji to describe how it makes you feel, what emoji would you use?
Like a super emoji, happy place. It's always
Love
yeah, yeah, it's like the happiest of happies. It's not always personally happy, but it's what makes me happy. So
Yeah.
when I feel that way.
Why would you suggest an entrepreneur, fellow entrepreneur out there, they do something like that? Just be consistent with their health if they would.
Yeah, it's one of the mistakes that I took for granted early. Like when I first started, there's so many things that I wish I would have done differently that I've just kind of had to learn the skill sets to be able to understand how to do. And so, health is one of those things. It's easy to let it go by the wayside, and then everything. It's funny. Your life is like a domino set, right? You let one thing kind of go, and a bunch of other things start slipping. From finances to your personal relationships to your whatever. It's you just sometimes when you're so tunnel vision and you don't have a foundation or check-in system in place, you let things go. So. For me, the biggest thing I've had to learn kind of stepping away from a full-time startup was like understanding how to put systems in place for myself. So when I do go back to something very rigorously, I'm a lot more self-aware.
Yeah. Zig Ziglar has something that impacted my life tremendously now that you're speaking about what you're speaking about, which is, I think they call it the wheel of life, is it? But it's something where you focus on having each spoke of the wheel be balanced, because if you have one spoke that's longer than the other, then you get a really bumpy ride, right? And it surrounds the idea of mental, spiritual, career, physical, personal, financial, and family. And I think it's the same thing you're alluding to in that you really need to be intentional with your balance, don't you?
100%. It's so hard, it's not easy at all. And for me, it's that wheel makes sense. A wheel works. I call it pillars.
Yeah.
These life pillars that we're kind of standing on, right? So I agree. I think that's so incredible wisdom from Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, most definitely. Zig is my homeboy. Sorry that he
Homie.
died. Yeah, he's my homie. All right, my friend. Hey, well, amazing audience. We are live with Bryan Wish again. He's done some amazing things. I think the wishdish.com is where you can check out some of his stuff, as well as you have your website link at bryanwish.com. All right, so you could just definitely check out those. Well, Bryan, let's switch gears for a minute and let me invite you now into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Bryan,
Amazing.
what is your earliest childhood memory?
Ooh. Do you want earliest or most like impactful?
Earliest, please.
The first one that pops into my mind is the one where I cut my babysitter's hair off when I was like 8 years old. I came up behind her behind the refrigerator and I cut her hair off. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh. So she was 8 years old, or were you 8 years old?
I was 8. She was much.
So if you had to connect the dots to that memory to who you are now, is it possible to do that? Yeah, like to connect the dots of that memory.
I don't know. That's a great question. So connect the dots from my memory, like how my childhood impacted me into who I am today.
Yes, sir. Love it. Yeah.
Is that what you?
We should switch sides of the mic.
That's great. I grew up in a family where, I saw my parents, working a lot, which was great. They kind of set the bar for us pretty high of like, at work ethic, and loved them to death. But, I always questioned, I always wanted to be happy and personally fulfilled. And I always wanted to find a way to combine work and purpose and find a way to make money doing something I love and not settle for anything less than that. So for whatever reason, I've been so focused my whole life on kind of being really passionate about just a small number of things and channeling that focus to make a big difference. So I think, being told no a lot growing up, hitting a lot of roadblocks early on kind of set me out. That was a lot different than most paths. And then, so I was just wired a little differently, and that really pushed me out to dive in the deep end on a lot of projects. So
why did you cut her hair though?
Oh, cut her hair. Oh, I'm sorry. You might have asked me a different question. I cut her hair because I was a jokester growing up.
Oh.
Another release for me was just really having fun with people and like being like a little kid, but in practical Joker style. It was amazing.
You cut her hair. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I was so little.
You cut her hair. Oh. Well, hey, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory?
I would love that.
I love the idea of the skill that you have to impact others without them knowing. And as much as you are, or you used it to be a jokester, at that particular age, it's intriguing how you've used it as well to help others, impact others. You spoke about the first 30 people being a bit challenging, right? But you somehow you got that going, and in so doing, it snowballed, right? And then you created so many other people coming on to share their stories. I think it's just intriguing that yes, the jokester part where you can sneak up and cut someone's hair. But I think it's even more amazing that you found a way to be that guy that sneaks up and let others feel comfortable with sharing a part of them they wouldn't share no other way.
Oh, yeah. That's such a beautiful insight. I agree. Wow. Yes.
If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
I don't know. Probably Lose Yourself by Eminem or like Hips Don't Lie by Rihanna. I have no idea.
Definitely Lose Yourself is so important. I mean, you definitely did lose yourself to find yourself, didn't you?
You're hitting on all the spots here.
Well, my friend, I wouldn't go any further. We've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Bryan?
Yes.
Bryan, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
No.
Are you married?
No.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
I think.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Maybe.
All right. What about screen time? The phone and the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Sure.
After 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I came up with this workbook, the name of it being called Yours. It stands for your own unique real self. The idea is you answer questions similar to these, hopefully to connect to your mission statement, which I call your own unique real statement. Bryan, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
To create opportunities that empower others to discover and express who they are.
Love it. Bryan Wish, again, great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, I had a great time. This was one of the most impactful short conversations I've ever had with a stranger.
With a stranger, yeah. With a guy whose face I've never even seen. Yeah, Bryan Wish, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.